Hello, my name is Hassan and this is Techie Steps. Last week we talked in regards to how to create a Google account on your Android phone. Today I'll be discussing Google Drive. By the end of the show, you'll know exactly what Google Drive is and how to use it to your own benefit. If this is your first time here, please consider subscribing, and if you do subscribe, make sure to click on the notification bell below. Never skip a beat with Techie Steps. Alright, let's jump into it. You're going to go to drive.google.com. You're going to enter that into your address bar of your internet browser. The browser of choice that I'm using is Google Chrome. I'm actually on a Chromebook, and that is my default. Let's see. All right, so you can use Firefox, you can use Safari, you can use Microsoft Edge. Those are other alternatives. I do recommend using Chrome because it's created by Google. You might have the best optimization for Google Drive at that point. So let's continue. So I have Techie Steps. I'm going to go ahead and sign into my account. You do have the option to enter another account. Some scenarios might be, let's say you wanted to sign into a work account, or vice versa. You want to sign in from work to a personal account. You could do that. All right. So I'm going to click on Techie Steps. I'm going to go ahead and enter my credentials. Let's see that. And I'm going to click on Next. Once authenticated, you're going to have access to your Google Drive area. All right. So I could see everything in my Google Drive. I can see some files here. I'm going to actually move myself towards the, not the center, but like to the right side of the screen. This way I'm not blocking the areas over here. So you can see that. All right, so what is Google Drive? Google Drive is basically an online storage solution, a repository. It allows you to store digital documents in the cloud space. It's pretty much, think of a traditional hard drive without the operating system. Let's say you had a portable hard drive and you wanted to just store files on it. This is the same concept. So you're not doing the plug and play. You're just signing into your account provided by Google, and then you're going to upload content, or you can also create content. And the other thing is that you also could do backups. One of the things you could do is back up your photos, which will be accessible in your drive. The other thing you could do is also back up like a Chromebook, as an example. So let's continue. You have My Drive. Anything in My Drive is the files that you actually own. You could have files that are shared to you. Sharing files allows collaboration. It allows you to view, edit, comment. I do share files at work. It's something cool to do. I definitely recommend collaborating in that degree. Let's click on My Drive, and I'm going to show you all the folders that I have in my Techie Steps, right? So I have a If This Then That folder. I have a Personal Stuff folder. You can see that there is a difference in color of these folders. By default, Google Drive creates folders with this like dark gray. I actually went ahead and created a different color for my personal stuff for this demonstration. I do recommend that, let's say you have 15 different folders. All of those folders are definitely, they matter, right? But you have this one particular folder or two folders that actually are very high priority and you need it to stand out. So when you go to Drive, you can just view it right away. One of the ways of kind of getting around that is just changing the color. The other way you can get around that is actually going to star the folder. So let's say you wanted to star something, you could right click on the folder, click add to starred. And then if you go to your starred area over here, you can see that this is the star in this starred area. If I go there, I can see that my personal stuff folder is now accessible within that area. I think starred area is probably more ideal to have like files there versus folders. The folders being that you can kind of color coordinate folders. You can't actually do that with files. The other thing is that files, let's say you had a last copy or the final draft of something, that's kind of where you would want to star something like this is the official version of this document that was submitted and signed, as an example. That might be the place where you want to store or to kind of represent those type of documents in the starred area. All right, so I'm going to back out, go back to personal stuff. You can see in my personal stuff folder, I have an example of a resume. It's actually named resume. If I go on the right hand side here, you can see Let me actually come back here. All right, so this is what I want to look at. This little information button. I clicked on that. Let me show you that information. All right, and if I click on details and I click on this file, I can see the details of this file. I can see this file is anyone with this link can view this file. So this file is accessible, but pretty much anyone who has a link. If you have the link to this folder, you have access to this file. And that's what it's telling me right there. I mean, in a corporate environment, that might be a concern. Well, you won't have your resume there, but let's say it was another document that it didn't need to necessarily be shared out to the world. You might want to say, all right, I need to restrict this document. I need to actually share it to specific individuals versus having it shared with just the link itself. All right, so there's other details that you have here. It shows who the owner is, very important. It shows what time it was modified, opened, and created. And then also what can viewers do with this document. So currently viewers can actually download the document. I actually could go into the document and say, all right, I don't want anyone downloading this document. I don't want anyone copying this document. This is just view only access. I could do that. You could do a lot of controls with using Drive. So that's one of the benefits with it. So let's go over to the next topic here, which is tiles. So I'm going to jump back up to my Drive. All right. So right now I can see that this is a list. This shows me like the name of the file. It shows me who's the owner, last date modified, and the size of the file. If I click on this tile here, if you look at the top right, this is going to give me the grid view. I like to call it a thumbnail view. If you're familiar with Windows, it kind of gives you a thumbnail view of the document itself. So I can kind of see an example of what this document actually is entailed. So like I could see some of the writing here, how to create a Google account using an Android phone. That was my last episode of Techie Steps last week. We actually uploaded this Thursday, and definitely check that out if you're not familiar with creating a Google account on Androids. If you wanted to create a new account, that's another way of doing it. I prefer this view to kind of get an idea of what I'm looking at. I'm going to continue. So you got shared with me. This is a good one. So anytime somebody shares a document with you, it's going to show up with share with me. You might run into a situation if you're not familiar with Drive so far. Let's say you're still kind of getting a hang of it. Any documents that are shared with you will appear here. If you're trying to remember, well, they shared a document with me. I deleted the email, so I don't have the email anymore. But where's the document? Well, you could search for it. It's one thing to do. Most people don't actually search for a document right away. They kind of like click around to figure out where it's at. If you want to click around, you could definitely go to share with me, and that's where you can kind of locate the document that you're trying to look for. Since I did mention search, you could just type in here and kind of search for what you're looking for. You can specify what kind of the type of document you're searching for. For example, videos is kind of interesting to even look at. You have more tools, which kind of gives you more specific information that you can input to kind of narrow your search query down. This way you can have the best, output of or accuracy. So let's say there's 30 documents that had the same name for whatever reason. Let's say you wanted to search for a document, same name, but a specific time frame. You could say, all right, this was edited in the last 90 days, right? Or actually past 90 days. You can specify that. So that kind of makes things a little bit easier to kind of get you your end result. Recent, fairly simple. Any recent files that were touched in a recent area. I did talk about starred. Trash. So trash, similar to Gmail. Anything in trash will eventually be removed or recycled. No mas, no more. All right. So just consider that anything you place here will eventually cycle out. So if you're definitely going to move the trash, definitely consider that you really want it to be in trash. All right. this cool thing to mention here is that you can kind of, not kind of, but you could, let me actually move myself again back to the left side here. If you click on name, let me actually show you a better view here. If you click on name, you could say, I want to view things based on last modified, or I want to view things last modified by me. I definitely make use of last modified. Sometimes we have poor habits. Let's say we're storing documents or multiple documents in that main drive folder. And you just want to see what was the last thing edited by yourself, or just in general, you have the way to drill down or sort. So use the keyword sort. You're sorting based on the last modified date. All right. Or last open. So these are little sort capabilities that you can use within Drive. All right. Go back up. All right. So that kind of sums it up. Let me talk about, well, I'm not going to finish out just yet. Let me talk about one more thing. So you got docs, sheets, slides. What can you do with docs, sheets, and slides? Docs is the equivalent of Microsoft Word. Google Sheets is the equivalent of Microsoft Excel. Google Slides is the equivalent of Microsoft PowerPoint. As far as like Mac OS, familiar with those Office Suite applications. This is kind of the Google alternative to Office productivity apps or applications. There are more apps available to you as well. There's Google Forms if you wanted to create a survey, if you had a question or you wanted to kind of see if there's any trends. You could create a survey and get results back. You could create Google Drawings. I like to use drawings within Docs, Google Docs. If let's say you wanted to create a specific shape or some type of like block, you can do that. Google Maps. Interesting enough is that you can use Google Maps, which is beautiful in itself. You can use Google Maps and then layer on top of Google Maps, right? So you have a layer on top of Google Maps and then kind of pinpoint certain regions. So let's say you have different sites. You can have different sites on your map and then have those locations. A cool thing you can do, let's say you had a team of drivers as an example. You got a team of drivers. You got a fleet. Let's call it a fleet. Those drivers are sharing their locations with you. You have different sites. You're trying to figure out who's closer to this one site. And there you can see who's located nearest to the site and then reroute them to that site. So this is just an example of what you can do with maps. Google Sites, I keep on saying sites, but all right, Google Sites, it's like a website. The sites I was referring to before is locations, but this site is actually Google websites. Google Jamboard, you may not actually see this. I think it actually shows up for me because of my Pixel Book. I have the capability of, I guess, this touchscreen available for me. It's a Google product as well. I think they're going to eventually introduce this a little bit further down the line. Jamboard is pretty much a ad hoc or a collaboration tool for creating ideas, spaghetti on the wall. If you want to have a team that kind of come up with ideas and create notes and processes before actually, like, let's call it like pseudocode or something like that, they could do that on this board. You could have a board, and then on that board, they're kind of like going in with like, ideas, writing it down. But the thing is that we're all separated. So, well, not all separated, but let's think about it like the new age office. Like you have offices in California, New York, Texas, and people are spread out. Teams are spread out, literally spread out. Jamboard is the solution that you can use to bring those people together and then have that cohesiveness. Rather than using a doc, you can use a Jamboard. And you can have a Jamboard at different sites as well. So a Jamboard is pretty much a screen with the Jamboard interface. So there you go. That kind of sums it up. If you have any questions in regards to what I talked about, I'm just touching the surface of what you could do within Drive. I definitely plan on going within Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, drawing. Definitely, I'm going to touch most of those products. So definitely look out for my future videos. If this is your first time here, definitely consider subscribing. And if you do subscribe, make sure to click on the notification bell to never skip a beat with Techie Steps. And thank you for your time.